Hey everyone, welcome back to the Anti Optimist Therapist, where optimism and realism coexist. Today's episode is called The Power of Giving Up Strategically. We're taught that if something isn't working, we just need to try harder. Push through, get more organized, find the missing step, and when we hit a wall, we usually blame ourselves. We assume it's a failure of willpower, or mindset, or grit. But sometimes the truth is quieter and way more uncomfortable. This isn't working, and it's never going to. At least not like this. That's not weakness, it's clarity. In acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, we call this moment creative hopelessness. It's when you realize your efforts to fix, control, or escape your inner world have hit a dead end. It's not about giving up on life, it's about giving up on the illusion that control is the answer. Last fall, I had one of those moments. My daughter was still under 2, and everything had gone sideways. Naps were skipped. Crisis after crisis emerged. Every plan I'd carefully laid out unraveled. I'd planned to make a healthy, nourishing, delicious dinner. I had the groceries, the recipe, the intention, but as the days spiraled, the old familiar tension rose in my chest. The discomfort of imperfection. The feeling that this day, like so many others, was slipping away from me. My instinct? Pull it back together, salvage something. But instead, I did something that could feel a little radical at times. I gave up. I sat down on the kitchen floor with my daughter, opened a bag of tortilla chips, because if anybody knows me, that's the other food group, grabbed the guac, and had a little picnic. Was it planned? No. Was it healthy? Was it perfect? In its own way, yeah. We laughed, we dipped chips, we sat on the floor and enjoyed what was actually in front of us. Not because everything went right, but because I stopped trying to make everything go right. There's a quote from the book A Liberated Mind that I love. Control works for some things, but not for your emotions. You can control if you make a grocery list. You can control if you start dinner at 5. In theory. But you can't control how a toddler's day unfolds, or how grief ambushes you on a Tuesday, or how shame creeps in without warning. And the more you try to control these things, the more stuck you feel. It's like wrestling a duvet cover. Every time I wash mine, I forget how ridiculous it is. I try the logical route, lining it up, shaking it out, folding and flipping, and eventually I become what I call a duvet ghost, climbing inside of the cover, arms flailing, trying to match the corners from the inside out. It never works the way I want it to. But somehow, eventually, I get there, not through perfection, but by giving up on doing it perfectly. That's creative hopelessness. It's not despair, it's giving up on the right way so you can find your way. In 1949, a crew of smokejumpers parachuted into a forest fire in Montana's Man Gulch. But the wind shifted. The fire turned on them. It was moving too fast to outrun. One firefighter, Wagner Dodge, realized they weren't going to make it. So he did something nobody expected. He stopped running. He lit the grass in front of him on fire. Then he laid down in the burnt-out patch he'd just created, letting the fire pass over him. Everyone else kept running. Most did not survive. Dodge didn't escape by fighting harder. He escaped by giving up the fight that couldn't be won. There's another quote from ACT that says it perfectly. Surrendering the control agenda is often what makes change possible. Creative hopelessness means we stop bargaining with reality. We stop recycling failed strategies. We stop clinging to the idea that if I just get it right, everything will finally feel okay. And we start asking different questions. Not, how do I get rid of this, but what actually works? What matters, even if this doesn't go away? In 1898, Marie Curie had set out to discover radium. She was studying uranium salts because they emitted invisible rays that fogged photographic plates. Strange, unexplainable behavior. Most scientists dismissed it or tried to force it into existing theories. But Curie didn't. She let the data lead. She followed a hunch that something new might be at play. That's how she ended up in a backyard shed with no ventilation, no protection, boiling radioactive sludge for years. She wasn't working from certainty, she was working from surrender. Eventually, she discovered two new elements, polonium and radium. Radium would go on to revolutionize cancer treatment, nuclear physics, our understanding of atomic structure. But it never would have happened if she had clung to being right. She gave up on control, she trusted the mess, and in that mess, she found truth. That's not just a scientific insight, it's a way of life. Sometimes the spreadsheet stops helping. The habit tracker makes you feel worse. The 5-year plan feels like a trap. It's easy to mistake that moment for failure, but it's often the beginning of something honest. Creative hopelessness isn't giving up on yourself, it's giving up on the need to have it all figured out. It's trusting that sometimes chips and guac on the kitchen floor is exactly enough. If this resonates and you're someone who's tired of overthinking everything, questioning your worth, tired of feeling like you've done the work, but you still feel stuck, you might be a perfect fit for my group program, The Fulfillment Formula. It's a 12-week therapy group for high-achieving women who are ready to stop living by anxiety, guilt, and perfectionism and start building a life that actually feels meaningful. We focus on the exact kinds of skills we talked about today. But probably most importantly, it's about learning how to live from your values, not just your fear. It's evidence-based, deeply supportive, and built for women who are smart, self-aware, and still stuck. If that sounds like you, you can learn more and apply at my website, theantioptimisttherapist.com. Thanks for listening to The Anti Optimist Therapist. If this episode gave you something to think about, maybe a breath of relief, or just permission to stop forcing it, consider subscribing on Substack or sharing with someone who might need to hear it today. Until next time, sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is stop trying so hard and just sit on the kitchen floor.